As you're having a seat, I would encourage you to listen quietly. All right, good morning. It's time to start. We have a guest speaker this morning. He'll speak at Joseph and Sonia Rhodes. Sonia and Joseph have been representing our congregation as missionaries in Russia, Bernal in Siberia, where it's warm all the time. It's like a garden spot. You're invited to winter there if you'd like. But how many years now? It's been 15 plus. So it's a long time they've worked. And I'm going to not use this time up, but I'll encourage you to listen carefully and because they've been faithful servants over these many years. And with that, I'll turn it over to Joseph.
Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. Well, that's pretty loud. Thanks for the opportunity to share the news of what God is doing in Russia. Usually, I understand this is Bible study time, right? That's important time. So I don't want to take away from that time. I want this to be important as well. So I want to begin with a perspective. We all get on the same, there we go, pressing the button. There we go. This is the perspective I'd like us to have this morning. Do you agree? God is alive. Yes, and he's busy and involved in our world today. Yes. So there's a way that we need to respond to that. We need to understand how to look and see what he's doing and recognize it so that we can praise him, so that we can thank him, and so that we can join him in that work. So this next hour or so, a few minutes, is going to be exercise in the format of Jesus' response to John the Baptizer's disciples. I must not have the right touch today. I'm advancing screens. Next one, please. Yeah. You know the story, familiar story when John sent his disciples to ask Jesus a question. And basically, Jesus did some things and then said, go and tell John what you've seen. Report what you've seen and heard. He left it to them to answer the question. So many of you, next one please, have, for some reason my touch is not working on this screen. Some of you have asked, how's it going over there? And I'm going to do the same thing Jesus did, follow his example. I'm going to tell you some stories, things I've seen and experienced, and let you yourselves answer that question. Now, in context, wow, I need somebody else's fingers. There we go. In context, most of my stories are going to come from Footprints in the Sand, the Christian camp that we do. That was July, first 2 weeks of July this year. Hey guys, glad to see you coming in. Do you go to Christian camp? Anybody? Yeah, you're going to see pictures of people that have been in our Christian camp. So I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad all of you are here to see this. This is where a lot of the stories are going to come, and then later in the presentation will be some stories about what the church is doing, the church setting. So we're just going to jump right in. I'm going to introduce you to Paulina. Boy, there we go. Paulina is, I see God at work in Paulina's life. She's 16. She's dealing with a lot of crazy stuff in her home life and even some things going on in the church. It's something unique about her in the camp is that when other kids would come and ask me, where's the volleyball, or can I go play this, she came to me with other kinds of questions. I wrote some of them down. She said, you know, I've been thinking about this. God can't be tempted, right? We know that from the Bible. But Jesus was tempted, and Jesus is God, so help me reconcile those things together. That was the first question. Next one was, Jesus commanded us to be perfect the way God is perfect. but I'm not perfect. I don't know how to do that. Can you help me understand what he meant? She didn't ask easy questions. Another one, what's your view on marriage, divorce, and remarriage? Woo, okay, she's dealing with stuff. But she's going to Christians, going to adults and asking. And she didn't just ask me, she asked the other adults. She said, well, I was already talking to him, and he said, or she said. That's great, that's a seeker. I see God at work in Paulina's life. I see that God brought her to a Christian camp where there are adults whose purpose is to take time and answer her questions. I see God at work there. Next group I want you to meet, there we go, is this family of 5. They belong to a small church, not in Barnaul, but still in Siberia. Donna is the youngest there, and she wrote me a message after camp and said, I've been coming to this camp for 10 years. She's only 11. So she might be just off a year or 2, but that's about all. Their family's been coming a long time. When her mother came to camp and worked with us the first year, she's the one who said, at the end of camp, now I understand what we're supposed to be doing with our kids. And they've been active and part of the camp every year. Nikita actually has been working with us now as a counselor for 3 years. So Yuta also wrote me a message after the camp, and I want you to hear her words. She wrote me in English, so this is a direct quote. This season was the best of the bestest for me. I feel how I grew up spiritually in this camp. It's probably meant over the years. Spending time with Christians is so important to me because in my hometown, we have a small church with no teenagers but me. And now that's why the camp is so important to her. I see God at work here. I see God providing the Christian community that this family needs and using them to bless others as well. Next group is from the city of Dekhtarsk. It's close to Yekaterinburg. You can see that on a map usually, the bigger city. We visited her home in 2017. Sonia and I did, doing a parenting seminar. It was interesting because it was mostly women. None of the men were involved in the church when we joined them at the Sunday worship. So the women were teaching the lessons, teaching the kids. When I taught the lesson that day, after I got done, then the mother turned around to the kids and said, so what did he say and what does that mean? And we've been trying to get them more and more involved, try to support them in that ministry. They've adopted kids. They're trying to raise them to know Jesus. But it's difficult because they live so far away from Barnaul. It's actually a day and a half by train to get to them. So this year there was a blessing. A couple of sponsors, one sponsor gave enough funds to bring the whole crew to the camp where they could be blessed the way God wanted to bless them. I see God at work there as well. Besides the work he's doing through Sasha and the other mothers, I see how God has moved people halfway around the planet who value the work that she's doing to help her and support her in her work. God is good. Next one. Milana is who I want to tell you about here. Milana is at that stage of life where she has to decide, am I going to stay home, live in the city here, study, work, or am I going to go pursue my career studies in another city? And we talked some about that. And she said she was talking to God about it, but she didn't know how to find the answers. So in our one-on-one time, every day for the 2 weeks of camp, we got to talk about how to talk to God. How do you present your requests to God? Such a thing, because she's never going to go to the Bible and say, yes, Milana, you should move to Novosibirsk for your studies, right? It's not the way it works. And yet she's praying to God, should I go to Novosibirsk, right? So we learned how to pray to God and how to listen to God, and she practiced that, said it was improving for her. There are more one-on-one times. Next screen. Kira and Tonya here are having their one-on-one time. We call it mentoring, and this is where Kira gets to ask the questions, and Tonya, the older Christian, has to answer with a biblical basis. Mentoring, I've mentioned it here every time I've been here. This is what is making our teens program in the camp something that the teens are coming back for. 15-year-olds to 19-year-olds don't usually go to camp in Russia, but they are maximum capacity in our camp, filling it up. And I think this is why. Here's another picture with Max and Miron having the same kind of conversations. I see God at work here, especially through the mentoring program, because I see God is motivating an older generation of Christians, not that much older, but an older generation, to slow down, take the time, get to know the kids, ask them about their lives, ask them what's going on. The kids are opening up to it, and they're hearing a biblical answer to their life issues. I see God at work here, definitely. Let's go on to Misha. Misha actually asked me to meet with him right the last couple of days of camp, which is busy, busy, busy time as we're trying to wrap everything up. I said, dude, the only way we're going to be able to meet is if we both get up early. He said, no problem. So we got up early. We squeezed 2 hours of conversation into an hour and a half, and he just unloaded on me. I thought he was going to ask me more questions like Paulina was asking me questions, but he just wanted to say, my life has been really difficult the last couple of years. This was the depth that I went to, how deep the problems were, and I want to tell you how much this camp has meant to me. The curriculum that we studied, the atmosphere, the Christian relationships. He says, this is what I needed. Thank you. That was amazing conversation. Just a thank you. Do your teenagers often say thank you to you? Right? He did. He just poured out how thankful he was. I see God at work here also, reaching out to one young man in the way that he needed. Our God is personal. It's not just global, not just universal. He's personal. That's important. Next one is Katya. Katya's not yet a member of the church. She's the daughter of the cook that we met 6 years ago. 6 years ago, that would be COVID year. Yeah, we did camp that year. And she was the cook, and we were with all the kids, and we were all quarantined in the camp. And she saw us interact, the cook saw us interacting and said, with our kids, and she was amazed, and she said, can my daughter join you? And she's joined us every year since. And here, Katya's making friends. Two of the girls in this picture are also baptized believers. She's making Christian friends. And what I see God's presence here for her is that the goodness of our God is attractive. It's attractive to her mom and attractive to her. And of course, we're looking forward to the time when she will hear the message and say, you know, it's the invitation is for her as well. Join in with us. Don't just cook great meals. And she cooks great meals. Next picture is Tanya. She's hugging Donna and Donna's best friend, Mariana. They live in different places, but here they are all together. All three of them come from different cities. Tanya is the writer of our curriculum for the very youngest group. She's written 5 years of curriculum. That's just an age group I don't know how to teach. So she got the curriculum there when I asked her to. Just a couple of years ago, she said, Joseph, this may be my last year in camp. And it wasn't because she was moving or anything. It was because she was diagnosed with cancer. And that year she told me, you know, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go do chemo on Tuesday. I need some time away, but I'll be back as soon as I can. You know how that is. You've seen it. She said to others, I'm going to do this camp even if it's the last thing I do. Such dedication. And she kind of expected it to be because she gave all of her materials to somebody else. Good news is she's still with us. She was with us. That's a picture from July. She's still with us and serving in the camp. And I see God at work here. This is a first-generation Christian in her family. And she is giving everything she has to make sure her kids and the next generation know Jesus and serve him. Next one is Rita and Masha. They live in France. Rita used to live in Barnaul. She's now living with her husband and her daughter. Boy, those pictures went really fast. Lost my train of thought. Masha has been studying the Bible with Sonia online. She was talking about baptism, and we've been inviting Rita to come work in the camp. That just wasn't possible. It's an expensive trip coming from France, a lot of documents and time and all of that. And two anonymous donors, made it possible for her to come. It was impossible for her, but possible with God. And she came. Masha got the Christian influences that she needed. Rita got to serve. I see God at work here in their lives as God makes the impossible possible. God worked through others to enable them to make the trip. Next one is four people. They all come from different cities. Omsk, and one of them lived in Irkutsk, now lives in St. Petersburg. Tomsk and Novosibirsk, all places you can find on the map later when you remember those names. And now they are two married couples. Lilia and Peter were married last year. Thank you. Suddenly started to think it was this year. It was last year. While everybody was gathered at the wedding, we were invited there. Lilia said, Joseph is going to come up and say something. He's my spiritual father. And she told me that later because she thinks of me that way because of our camp. She grew up through the camp. They all met in camp, and now they're serving in the camp. Matvey and Katya, I think I told you last time, they got married 3 years ago, and they had their wedding at the campground after the last day of camp so that their camp family could attend. And I see God at work here providing Christian mates. And that's not an easy thing to have to find. Okay? Good Christian mates and families that are starting where God is a part of it. He's the third member and he's honored. That's great stuff. Tamara, next one. Tamara there on the left. I have to get oriented. She's our oldest counselor, 9 years my senior, an inspiration to me that she's getting up, getting going, going out. Thank her all the time, and she says, don't thank me, I'm the one who's blessed to be here. Lilia is her granddaughter, and that's just the whole family picture there. Peter and his younger sister and his mom, and I think it's a nephew or a cousin, something like that. So, yeah, I see God at work here. God is being honored and served by Tamara. She was the one who brought Lilia when Lilia was just 9 years old. And I see God's servant being enabled and blessed. It's a good thing. Next one is Liena. Yeah, they're both Liena. The younger Liena is who I'm telling you about. She's from a broken home. And in the first few days of camp, she had this yellow can of mosquito spray. Now, last year we had a lot of mosquitoes. This year, not so many. It was pretty nice. But she had her can, and it stunk. It was bad mosquito spray. Bad. And she was going everywhere spraying herself all the time the first couple of days. Not because of the mosquitoes, but because it was like a security for her. When the counselors tried to swap it with something that smelled better, she got like hysterical. She slept with the mosquito bottle next to her. But it was not just a couple of days. And then she was okay. She was in a safe environment. People loved her, and she was very quick, all the rest of camp, very quick to come up, give you a hug, and say, I love you. And I see God at work in her life also. I see God using the camp team, like the older Liena there, to give her hugs. And those were God's arms around her. And to teach her that there is a God who loves her and cares about her. The next guy, see if my finger will work here. There we go. Elijah. There we go. Elijah was baptized several years ago, but very quickly was pulled away by university studies. And living his way hasn't turned out very well for him. So we offered him a chance to join us and to help with moving the supplies and getting craft stuff ready. And the whole idea was for this picture that you see, of him interacting with Christians. We wanted to get him back into the Christian atmosphere so that he would remember how good it was. And I know that he had at least three deep conversations, spiritual conversations with some of the Christians around. When I got to him, he said, well, I've already talked to somebody twice. So I said, well, you got number 3. But it was a good conversation. And he was at the church assembly on the Sunday after camp was over. He's been traveling with the family since then, so we're anxious to see if that trend will continue. We hope it will. But I know that he reconnected with the church and that it was a good experience for him. I see God at work here. This is something we learn about when we read the Bible. I see the patience of God in his life. God doesn't want anyone to be lost. And Jesus is standing at the door knocking, just waiting to be invited in. Next one is these twins. They were born on the same day to the same family, brother and sister. They're also brother and sister in Christ and members of the youth group in the church. Last year, we invited them to come help us unload and set everything up before all the rest of the kids would come to camp. This year, because we had Elijah and some other help, we told them we don't need you, just come with the group. And Miron said, this is my job. I'm coming with you, right? And Olya, she stayed at home because they had about a dozen guests who came by train and needed a place to stay one night before the camp would start. So her home was overflowing with guests, and she stayed to help her mom take care of the guests, help her parents. So I see God at work here in their lives because he's giving a young man, young lady purpose and good character. They're volunteering to serve. That's a good thing. I'm sorry, the pictures are advancing so quickly there. I hope you saw them. I see young children learning about Jesus, learning to pray. I see they're gaining a foundation of faith. That's something I cherish in my upbringing. I see, next screen, click, 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 there they go. I see children who are just learning to read, and they're finding out that they can read Jesus' words for themselves and figure out what he's saying to them, and they can learn how to talk to him, how to use his teachings as a guide for their life. And next one, I see older kids digging in, digging for deeper truths, and young Christian teachers like Nikita there sharing their faith. I see God at work in all of those pictures. Next one, this is our youth group, ages 15 to 19, plus their counselors. We had 16 boys, 16 girls. That was the maximum we could fit by the beds and just in the facility. We were at capacity in the facility. When I see them, I see youth who are ready to seek God for the answers and for guidance as they enter a crazy world, right? An upset world. And they are coming back looking. There were, I got some statistics here. Statistics are boring, but these are interesting, actually. 26 out of the 32 were returning. And remember, we had a new group from that older group from the city of Diktarsk, so they were some of the new ones. We had, out of them, 21 were Christians already, baptized believers. And that's significant. In the camp, we celebrated spiritual birthdays. We say we used to do it just on the day. This year I decided that on the first night of camp, we're going to do those who were baptized in January, and then the next night, February, and then on down to all the rest of the year. Okay, and we got 4 people, 3 people, 2 people, and then in July, the line of people was from wall to wall across the front of the hall. That's when camp happens. That's where the difference was made in their lives. It's amazing. Amazing. What else do I want to say there? I heard these kids talking about the curriculum, and that's amazing, right? After class, they're still talking about some of the discussion questions. Can good exist without evil? Some of the things they were tackling. It's cool stuff. Yeah, next picture. Some of them, some of our coworkers used to be campers, and this is only a portion. I realized that a few of the older ones didn't get the memo to show up for the picture. So all of these used to be campers, and now they are coworkers. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Yes, I believe so. God is at work here. Next one. This is an example of it. Tonya taught Sasha when Sasha was younger. Now Sasha is teaching Olya. This is the way it should go, always. Soon Olya will be teaching, I'm sure. Next one. There's Tonya again with her husband Yvonne. They also have a red-haired teenage son who's in a picture behind that one. Didn't show. I just wanted you to see that we're kind of transitioning into the work of the church. And Yvonne is one of those guys who's been with us every year in camp, every summer. Remember, camp is 2 weeks out of the summer. He used to only have 2 weeks of vacation. Like for a decade, that's as much as he had. So he'd work all year, and his 2 weeks of vacation was to come to camp and work. He's been blessed. Now he has 4, and he uses the 3rd week to go to a men's seminar and grow and connect with the church in other ways. It's really good to have a coworker in the church that way. Both are first-generation Christians in their family, and they want to see their kids in the next generation following Christ. Next one, our church got a new facility in 2024. We've been working on it. It's got 3 long rooms. Here's one of them where we usually meet. Church, the seats are usually in order like this, but on Passover or Resurrection Day, Easter Sunday, we laid them out as a table, kind of like the in the tune of the Hebrews at Passover, and the guys all had speaking parts, and then we had a big dinner afterwards. Some more pictures from the church building coming up. The church is using, here we go, I'm sorry, my advanced pictures are not you're getting only 1 picture out of 4. We had 3 places now for our kids. We have little kids and middle kids and older kids. I can't tell you, that sounds so simple, but it's a huge blessing. We used to have to do the kids' classes down the hallway somewhere in an office area. This is such a blessing. We're able to use it now for events. I think we got another picture coming up. There we go. Legos. You guys like Legos? Yeah. Do you have Legos? Do you have that many Legos? No? Do you want that many Legos? Yeah. No. I saw one shake her head. No. Yeah. That's my son's collection of Lego pieces. He buys them in bulk now. He's a Lego designer guy. Anyway, now there's a Lego event at our church building where we can invite others in from the community. They do movie events and table game night and things like that. This is big for us. This is a step forward of us being able to make welcome the community into our space so that we can get to know them. The church is united there in Barnaul. We have some pictures in the next screen. I hope they show things. This is our home. We have like the planning meetings of what's going to be happening in the next few months in our home. Different people in the church getting together and planning that. We have a picnic that the church goes to in a facility outside the city, where the church in Russia is also united regionally. The next picture is about a ladies' seminar done in our home, And there were ladies that came from 4 different cities. One of them rode the train for 20 hours to come to the women's seminar. The others from out of town drove 4 hours or 3 hours from the cities where they were. I think you can see Tamara there on the left side again. And the next one's big too. The church in Russia is actually united nationally. There are strong ties between the church in Barnaul and Novosibirsk and all the way over to St. Petersburg. In fact, the far left one that you see is over in France, where Rita and her daughter came from. Those are not all the arrows. 19 different cities is where the people came from, 19 for the camp this year. And there are strong ties. I'm going to claim it, primarily because we have people coming from those churches, spending 2 weeks together in the camp, and then going home. And the ties continue, thanks goodness to the internet and all that, the connections continue. God is at work here. Next screen. There's the question again. I've answered it for myself. I leave it to you to answer how you would answer that question. Next one. I have a personal perspective on all of this as well. That's me when I actually had some color, other color in my beard and hair. 30 years ago, I met those kids in camp. Can you imagine right now they're 40 and 50 years old? Wow, yikes. I was supposed to go tell them the story of how God created the world. You've all heard that story, right? Yeah? How old are you? Yeah, 11, right in that age group. They were 11 years old, and they did not have a mom or a dad who told them how God made the world. I had 16 kids together in my first class. I asked them that question, have you heard? And only 2 raised the hand, and it was their grandmother who told them. I value that my mom told me about Jesus and God and introduced me to David and Samson and Paul and all those guys. They had no chance. They were healthy, happy, fun to be with, well-clothed, well-fed, and spiritually dead, without hope, because they didn't have a teacher. And that was the motivation to get me over there. God introduced me to them, and well, I knew stories that they needed to know. Let me go. We started camp, Christian camp. That was a public camp, by the way. We started a Christian camp, Footprints in the Sand, in 2005. Let's go to the next screen. Here we are 30 years later. That's our camp, from our camp this summer. A lot of the kids, older kids, are Christians, as I already mentioned. Some of them are second-generation Christians. That's good news. That's very, very good news. But you know, whether they're from a Christian house or whether they're from their friends like Katya, who's not from a Christian home, either way, they need a teacher. Either way, they need somebody to tell them about Jesus and God and His ways. It's just got to happen. If we don't teach them about Jesus, someone else is going to teach them about somebody else, or some other truth, or actually some other half-truth, a lie. I see, that's a story of my life. I see God at work here, and it's good news. Next screen, I really tried to keep my presentation short enough so that finally I could keep the promise of answering questions, because usually I talk too long and there's no time. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer?
So I've seen them studying God's Word. It's translated into Russia. And then is it printed in Russia or always outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
I'll repeat it this time, and then we'll pass the mic. He asked, is the material in Russian? Yes. The Bible is provided by Eastern European Missions. It is in Russian. The materials that we make, the workbooks, there are 60 pages for every year. That's all in Russian. The curriculum for the teachers is in Russian. The teachers are speaking Russian. It's by Russians for Russians. My son and I are the only Americans directly involved on the ground.
Do you speak Russian?
Я могу говорить по-русски, если мне нужно. He asked, do I speak Russian? Sometimes, when I absolutely need it. I still teach, when I teach, I still teach through a translator because my grammar is bad, even after this long. Anybody else? That's a good question. Yep. 2 for you. He's got the mic.
You had 32 people, seniors, teens,
Teens.
upper teens. How large is the overall camp?
144 people, I think, Sonia. Yeah, we're right at 144, and there were no beds. There were like one bed here or there that we didn't get a child of that gender and age. Yeah, 144 people from all over. I missed. You know that map? Okay, St. Petersburg to Barnaul. I got to give you some perspective. I want to ask these guys. Yes, thank you. How many time zones are there in the continental United States? Do you know? You don't know? One, not one. There's Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. That's 4. You got it? 4. There are 4 time zones between St. Petersburg and Barnaul. So that means the people who came to us from St. Petersburg traveled the distance across the United States to come to Christian camp. That's a long way. Yes.
That's related to the question I had. I know our kids up there and many grown-ups here have grown up going to our Christian camps here, and I know there are several in Ohio. So it's easy to go, oh, camp, but it's a really big deal over there, correct?
Correct.
Can you just address that by how great a distances they travel to get there? So, and the extra challenges that you have.
Within the group of Churches of Christ, I know that there are 3 camps. Ours is a 2-week camp. We go for 14 days because people are coming from so far and because that's effective. 5 days, you barely get to know their names. 2 weeks, they get to a point where they actually trust you and say, you're for real. I understand this. And you get invested in them. Yes.
When you speak to an average Russian citizen, is the main barrier atheism, or is it?
No.
What
Russia
what do you
considers itself a Christian nation. The Russian Orthodox Church is predominant. There are some youth who would say, I don't believe, so they would be atheists. But I think the main barrier is the human condition of self-sufficiency and complacency. I'm okay. And that's the barrier that has to, we're not okay. Jesus came to say, you're not okay, you need me. So I think these other things are extra. Yeah. Yes.
So, sorry. What goals do you have for like the next 5 years, and what plans do you have to accomplish those goals?
Oh man, that's a new question. Okay, and I've got 5 minutes. Okay. I want to continue enabling the next generation with knowledge and opportunity. That's basically saying I want to keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
If we've looked at expanding the camp, but it becomes very difficult if we don't get another place. Remember, our campground is our camp is not a campground. We've moved from place to place as we've grown, from 19 kids to 140 kids. It's not a campground, it's a camp program. Footprints in the Sand is a curriculum, basically, and a group of people that want to serve. I want to continue to be there in Russia despite sanctions and all the hurdles that causes, and continue to provide opportunities for Russians to tell the next generation about Jesus. That has not changed in 30 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Whew, I answered that in 5 minutes or less. Yes, ma'am. What was the farthest someone traveled to get to the camp? Well, that would be St. Petersburg, and it was, I think I measured it on the computer one time, and it was like over 2,000 miles. Yeah. Well, yes, okay, that's true. Thank you. My wife is smarter than I am. We had people come from France, so they had, I don't know that mileage. They came all the way from France. They went to Turkey, and then they came to Russia in one city and took a bus to get to us in Barnaul. That's true. That's true. We did have, one year we had some people, some former missionaries who lived in Barnaul came to work in the camp. So they came all the way from Texas all the way to Barnaul, which is 12 time zones difference. They came halfway around the planet. That's a far way, huh? Mm, 11 that I'm aware of. Russia has 11 time zones, by the way. Yeah, from edge to edge. At least it used to. Time zones change. Yeah, 11. I got two confirmations. 11. Okay, I got 3 minutes. That's good for 3 questions. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Do I live in Russia or do I live here? I'll just answer, repeat. I live in Russia. Russia is my home address. I was born in Cincinnati, though. God can take us anywhere he wants to take us. Yeah, if we just let him, if we let him. I've lived there since 1999. Before you were born, probably.
Sir, if I heard you correctly, you mentioned your son was helping you in translating the Bible.
Oh,
Is-
no. The Bible's been translated into Russian long time. It was being, I'll tell you a few stories. I got 2 minutes. Sonia's told me the story that her father was collecting excerpts from the book of John, I believe it was, or the New Testament, that were being published in the paper in the early 90s. But very soon the Bible came in, and there's a synodal version that the Russian Orthodox Church uses. Our church uses quite often. There's a new Russian translation. There are actually several translations of the Bible in Russian already. And EEM, Eastern European Missions, is distributing those for free, printing and distributing. That's been a blessing to us in the camp. There's 1 more minute. So, okay, that's 2 buzzers. I can't beat 2 buzzers. Thank you all for your attention. I'm here for more questions, one-on-one. And I'm going to put, if you have been getting our newsletter and your email has changed, you need to let me know. Or if you want to get our newsletter, it'll be on the back. You can give me your email and I'll add you to our list. Thank you for your attention and your continued partnership. Absolutely. Thank you. We love you all here at Xenia. Thank you. To God's glory. It's planned. Doing good. Doing good. Thank you for the question.
I do have a question. Just for your information, the microphone is still on.
I'll turn it off.